Good evening, folks. This is Deb Delapiana, and we are here for the Factivist Report for Monday, the 18th of July. We are a day late, but we are never a dollar short. Without further ado, I'm turning this over to Dave.
Okay, if anyone who watches our short shows before our long shows, or even if you don't, yesterday and last night, I was in Brooklyn from about 11 in the morning, and I got home around 10:30, but I canvassed, I would say, for about 5 hours for a candidate. And what I'm going to say about it is that these canvassers, these workers, these pollsters, everybody who works on any kind of campaign, they do a ton of work. All right. But there are people out there who try to diminish that work through voter suppression, through gerrymandering, through denying that they lost the election. Now that's even if it's even the primary, denying they lost the primary or denying they lost the election. So I'm going to go into some of the things that you've been hearing about in regards to voting. Now, I'm not saying don't vote. I'm saying vote. Deb and I are off, and Sarah, we are off the obstruct the vote train. This is not that time. You have to get out there, and you have to make your voices heard, not only from your pocketbook, but from your voting. All right. So let's get into this a little bit. First, I'm going to talk about gerrymandering. What gerrymandering is basically is redistricting to make it advantageous for your party. And you hear a lot about this happening for Republican districts. This is a New York Times guest essay from July 18th, 2022, basically asking liberals to get energized and respond. This is Margaret Wrinkle, who is a contributing opinion writer, covers flora, fauna, politics, and culture in the American South. So she talks about the South, which is one of Deb's favorite topics.
Yes. Yes. Many larvals below the nation.
So one of the things that she brings up is that according to Mark Morrow, who is a policy director of the Brookings Institution's Metropolitan Policy Project, the counties Joe Biden won in 2020 account for 71% of the U.S. gross domestic product. And a lot of those counties are in red states are growing. She talks about the GOP and the way that they gerrymander and that kind of thing. Once you're here, you can help us register voters in disenfranchised communities and drive them to the polls. So what she's basically talking about too is that a lot of the things that the Republicans have been doing in regard to, abortion and all of the different topics, they're affecting everybody. So here we go. Don't believe hardcore right-wingers can be moved by public outcry. Just consider what happened in Tennessee when a video obtained by Phil Williams, the chief investigative reporter for News Channel 5, caught the president of the ultra-conservative Hillsdale College claiming that American teachers are trained in the dumbest parts of the dumbest colleges in the country. And I believe we may have retweeted that stuff. Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee, who was present for the speech, made no efforts to denounce his friend on the point, but it looks like his complicity will cost him 50 charter schools he invited Hillsdale to open there. Okay, so thing is, you can drive some stuff home.
Right.
And there's other things. Plenty of people pointed out that red state officials have been shooting themselves in the foot as they merrily /rights, ignore the unignorable realities of a heating planet and attempt to create a Christian theocracy in a nation founded on a bedrock belief in the separation of church and state. So, yeah, that's basically the South in a nutshell, and it is going to bite them.
Right.
It's going to take some time to bite them.
I also think the Civil War ended last week.
If it's ended.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So here is another article, and I know Deb likes this article.
Yep.
This is from The Guardian. This is something I'm going to be talking about, especially when you're talking about Steve Bannon. This is something that people have just started to notice, but it is an old tactic. This is Kris Kobach. He first ran for office in Kansas in 2010, claimed he found evidence that thousands of Kansans were assuming the identities of dead voters. It's called ghost voting. He offered a name, Albert K. Brewer of Wichita, and Albert K. Brewer was surprised to realize that even though he was alive, he had died, apparently. So it emerged that Albert K. Brewer, age 78, was still very much alive, a registered Republican like Kobach, and more than a little stunned to be told he'd moved on to the great hereafter. No evidence emerged that anyone had ghost voted in Kansas that year, and Kobach has continually, story after story after story of these kind of things, and none of them have come out to be true. So,
and they really, you know what? They really don't care what you think of them. They really don't. They're like Teflon. But I'll tell you what they do care about. They care about power. So if you want to hurt them, then you vote them out. That's exactly what they care about.
So, as vice chair of the Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity, I will repeat that. As vice chair of the Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity, his mission to root out fraudulent voter registrations and fraudulent voting, which basically means anyone who voted Democrat, in all honesty, is sending chills down the spines of elections experts and voting right activists who believe he is intent on instituting a sweeping wave of new voter suppression laws. And
another smug looking fucking honky. That's really what he is.
So here's just a brief history of gerrymandering. And if it was really said the way that it was intended, it would be gerrymandering, because that's the guy's name, was Gary instead of Jerry, but it just evolved. So in March of 1812, the Boston Gazette ran a political cartoon depicting a new species of monster. It was called the gerrymander. The fork-tongued creature was shaped like a contorted Massachusetts voting district that the state's Jeffersonian Republicans had drawn to benefit their own party. And this was from Governor Elbridge Gerry, and it turned into Jerry. Signed off on his party's redistricting plan in February, unwittingly cementing his place in the U.S. lexicon of underhanded political tricks. So this was the district.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Looks like a freaking dragon.
Yeah. Did you ever live in any part of this?
I lived in
Right.
Lynn. I've lived in Amesbury.
So you
Those are the only two places I've lived in that particular beast.
okay? So gerrymandering actually existed before it had a name. They were called rotten boroughs. It only had a few eligible voters, but you would just basically load that district up and get yourself a representative out of it with 3 people or whatever. So now this is an older article. This is from 2014. Okay. They were talking about how they
Crimes against geography.
yeah. Yeah. So there you go. So we're talking 2014. This election year, we can expect to hear a lot about congressional district gerrymandering. And do you know why? Because Obama was president.
Right.
Which is when political parties redraw district boundaries to give themselves an electoral advantage. So gerrymandering is at least partly to blame for the lopsided Republican representation in the House, according to an analysis that this writer did, and this was Christopher Ingram. According to an analysis he did last year, the Democrats were underrepresented at that time by about 18 seats in the House relative to their vote share in the 2012 election because of gerrymandering. The way Republicans pulled that off was to draw some really, really funky looking congressional districts. So, there's some different stuff in here. One Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose notifies County Board of Elections to use Ohio State Board of Education districts that critics say are gerrymandered. So this is the new. So if you notice, they moved it around a little bit. This is one that I really want to focus on a little bit. This is from The Guardian. This is from North Carolina, and these maps show how Republicans are blatantly rigging elections. So, like I said, this is from North Carolina. I'm going to wait for the thing to stop lagging, and then we'll go. And also, before I show you what we're talking about, realize that this is where the Supreme Court case is going to go. This is involving North Carolina. If you're going to let me do it. There we go. So here's a visual guide to show how gerrymandering allows Republicans to virtually guarantee re-election. This is Andrew Witherspoon and Sam Levine. Now, this is from last year, but realize that this is an ongoing issue. They're taking this to the Supreme Court. So here, let me see. All right. You can see the results of the 2020 presidential race in northwestern North Carolina. So you have circles representing Republicans and Democrats. The Republicans are red, the Democrats are blue. The larger the circle, the more represented they are. If you notice, you have Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Raleigh are very predominantly blue. So you have Greensboro and Winston-Salem, which is North Carolina's 6th congressional district, currently represented by a Democrat. Joe Biden won that district by 24 points. Republicans redrew that new lines and cracked the Democratic voters into 4 heavily GOP districts where they are in the minority. So you see Greensboro, there's Winston-Salem, there's Raleigh. So you basically neutralize Greensboro. So it's a new 11th congressional district, which Donald Trump would have carried by 10 points in 2020. So that's a new 11th congressional district. Here's the 7th. So you're taking part of Greensboro and you're taking part of Raleigh. Trump would have won by 12 in that new district. 10th district, 16 points.
What we call a soft coup. That's what we're calling that.
Yep. 12th district, you basically completely neutralize Winston-Salem. Trump will be carried by 10 points. Those new lines dismantle a Democratic district, helping Republicans preserve their majority in the state.
Because they suck. Because
Now,
they don't care about democracy, basically.
no. As you know, I'm sure that you've heard that Ron DeSantis has also redistricted. Senate bows to DeSantis with map boosting GOP at the expense of Black Democrats.
And by the way, that was an unprecedented handover of power to a guy who was already operating as an autocrat, okay? So basically, that is something that something that the Florida legislature would have been involved in. They basically gave it to DeSantis to do. And then they saved it.
Yep. So, all right. Hold on. Okay. There we go. So if North Carolina is allowed to keep that gerrymandered district and basically bypass their Supreme Court, their state Supreme Court, that could radically reshape how elections are done. And gerrymandering, if I've said it before, if Republicans can do this, then Democrats have to start doing it too. And that district that I was talking about in New York, that was mushed together, that district that I went to yesterday, that was actually redistricted. What's basically happening is, it just keeps on getting moved around because, I guess when the Republicans are in power, they do it one way. Then the Democrats are in power, they do it another way. It does kind of create confusion, but
I got to just say this though. I've been following elections now for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And I know that the Democrats have redistricted in the past, but I'm sorry, nothing like this.
No,
honestly,
but
nothing like this.
Basically, when I've seen Democrats redistrict,
It's supposed to be based on the census.
Census.
Right. I mean, they have done that. But this is not based on the fucking census.
No,
None of this is based on the goddamn census.
this is genuine gerrymandering. There's redistricting, and then there's gerrymandering.
Why they do it? I'll tell you why they do it. They do it because they know they're not going to win any other way. That's
right.
The reason they do it. They know they're not popular. They know their policies aren't popular.
Right. Now, this is a Politico article, but you can find your state and go and see how your state has been redistricted recently. So that, in a nutshell, is redistricting and gerrymandering. Now, what I will say is generally the Democrats redistrict to kind of rebalance everything. That's when they do it. So, and yeah, is it generally to their advantage? Yeah, because it shouldn't have been moved in the first place. So here's the next part. Okay, now we have funding. Look, fundraising is a necessary part of running for office. And here's one thing that I think Deb and I may have been on the wrong side of this at one point. At least I know. Stacey Abrams' blockbuster fundraising driven by out-of-state money. So
good.
Yeah. By the way, Stacey Abrams. Yeah.
Here's where we are in America right now. We have a lot of people doing this.
Yeah.
My ex is donating to Democrats across the country. All right. We have at least a couple of people on Facebook donating to people across the country. Right now, we have one goal, and that is to not allow the GOP to have power. They are fascists, and we are in trouble here. And this needs to be seriously dealt with. This is not a joke, okay? If they do this, if they take power in 2022, I'm sorry, but all bets are off in this country for democracy. I really believe you'll see a rubber stamp 2024 election. There's no question about it.
Right.
So as far as I'm concerned, it's all hands on deck now. We are in a lot of trouble here in America. If you don't see that by now, I can't help you. All right.
I have to say this too, that I know people have talked about identity politics and blah, 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 but I see a huge movement, and I see that some of our leaders, our true leaders, are going to be female. So get over it.
By the way, in this country, identity politics is totally necessary. If we did not have identity politics, women would have no power. Gays and lesbians would have no power. Transgender people would have no power. People of color would have no power. It would be a white man's world. And you know what? That's not what America is about, no matter what the GOP tells you. 51% of the population in this country right now are female. So get over it and grow up.
What I'm going to say about this is that if Stacey Abrams becomes governor, her policies will drive national policies. They will, that state could be an example, and people could follow that example. Kathy Hochul, with the work that she's done and the things that she's done just in a short amount of time, fighting the Supreme Court on gun legislation, on abortion, and on different things that she's been working on, she is paving the way. So, just because you're governor of a state doesn't mean that you're not going to affect national policy. It is the exact opposite. So,
right now in the United States, the governor position is the protector of civil rights because it is under total assault by the GOP on a national level.
And by the way,
the GOP has announced that they are going to go for a national transgender ban. Right. I'm just going to let you know that.
I will say this too. Your state assemblies are essential. Just ask Gretchen Whitmer
Right,
in Michigan.
right.
She's hamstrung right now. Ask Jared Polis in Colorado. So you can have a Democratic governor, but if you do not have a Democratic assembly, you're going to be hamstrung for a while. So you have to take a look at those seats. I don't think people have not looked at those seats long and hard enough.
Right.
Okay, and what I will say, I did it. Other people can do it. You see somebody in another district that's an assembly person that you think is impressive, support them, canvas for them, donate, whatever. Do what you can.
Right.
Phone banks, whatever it is. I know Deb said, who was it? Laura Healey. She's thinking of canvassing for Laura Healey.
Yeah, because, everybody thinks in Massachusetts, because we're a pretty liberal state, everybody thinks that she's a shoo-in for the governor position. And
That's dangerous.
I happen to think she is too, because the guy that is running against her is just endorsed by Trump and is so extreme that I don't believe he'll ever fly here. But you know what? I'm not about to test that. So I'm going to make sure I get out for Maura Healey,
right,
and do whatever I can for her.
And what I will say too is that Lee Zeldin, I always knew that he was a Trump follower and Trump supporter, but when I saw him on Newsmax talking about all that Kathy Hochul has done is be a wife to a man, no.
I thought that's what
the newscaster said, but he didn't disagree with them.
Well, I thought that's what the GOP wanted from women, just to be the wife to a man, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well,
they're husbands' wives.
Yeah. Whatever the fuck.
So
it's 2020. Evolve.
You have this protest that, all this out-of-state money is coming to candidates. Meanwhile, you have corporations that donated millions to lawmakers who voted to overturn the election results. Okay, so there's, you go into a ton of it. Boeing, Pfizer, General Motors, Ford Motor, AT&T, UPS. There's a list. If you want to boycott those companies, feel free.
The Republicans are already boycotting Pfizer.
Right. So.
And they're donating to Republican candidates. So what the fuck?
So this is actually. Are you gonna be nice? Okay, you're going to be nice. All right. This is actually good news.
Certainly is.
Now, fundraising numbers, generally somebody who gives money to a candidate, they're going to vote for them.
Right.
Generally. But don't give somebody money and not vote for them.
Right. It's more important than your cash.
Right. So we have John Fetterman, who, it's important he gets in. It really is. So.
Yeah, please. God help me.
So this just talks about, the Democrats basically smashing the Republicans in fundraising. So what I will say too is there are grassroots candidates out there that are worthy of your attention. But Republicans worry about Georgia's Senate race with Herschel Walker liabilities on display. Then why even run him? I mean, so here we go. Red-leaning Ohio. Democratic Representative Tim Ryan raised $9.1 million. J.D. Vance. who is extremely dangerous, by the way.
He's broke.
He's
Broke,
he
by the way, there's an article out there tonight that says his campaign is broke.
okay. He raised what, $1 million? So, and the Hillbilly Elegy author ended the quarter with about 629,000 remaining in the bank, and even more, nearly 883,000 in debt. So that's what you're talking about. So,
By the way, what people should also know is in a lot of cases, the money coming to the Democrats is from grassroots supporters, not just corporations. That's really,
right.
That's a good sign. That's a sign of
Right.
people who are going to vote.
Right. Now, there are instances in which there are corporations that do support candidates for whatever reasons. All right, let's see. Okay, are you done? Let's see. Even if Democrats have all the money in the world, they're on the wrong side of the issues, said Jack Pantal, a spokesman for Senate Leadership Fund, a super PAC aligned with Mitch McConnell of Kentucky.
Yeah, you see voters who are frustrated with high inflation, crime, and an uncontrolled border. All the money in the world is not going to change that dynamic. Well, some of us are fucking tired of overturning Roe v. Wade, taking away a woman's right to choose, oppressing gay and lesbian people, particularly, legislating out of existence transgender people. All the money in the world is not going to change that dynamic either.
And you throw guns in the mix.
Yeah, throw some guns in the mix too. Let's kill. We've had 4,000 school-age children killed since 2020 because of guns.
So the final tactic I want to talk about is if you lose an election, or if someone loses an election, you just deny that you lost. That helps. So, so election deniers quiet on fraud claims after they win their primaries.
Yeah.
It's not coming up, but hold on. Let's see if I can get it. You gonna let me do it?
It's because it's about 100 degrees where you are, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. My computer, I think my computer is giving me the finger. There we go. What is this? All right, what just happened? Everything just lost its mind. No. All right.
No, Kendrick Lamar's not running for office. No, that's good.
Yeah, I have like 14 Kendrick Lamars here.
Wow. Multiplied.
Yeah. He gerrymandered.
Yeah, he gerrymandered his nation president. He switched his district.
All right. So, never had that happen before. All right. So basically, what I was going to talk about, I don't know if it's going to let me go in the very end of this. All right, here we go. Oh, okay. So we're at this one. This is actually pretty good. This is an editorial talking about how to neutralize people who are trying to defraud the system. Don't vote for them.
Right.
This is Tina Peters and Ron Hanks. Okay. Both candidates had requested recounts. Now, Tina Peters.
I don't know how she ran.
I don't know how many counts she was charged on, but I know that she tried to leave the state, and they dropped they dropped that charge. Let me see if I can get rid of Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, she basically, not only did she take data off the 2020 election machines,
Yeah,
and give it to Mike Lindell, which he then displayed during his little travesty and got her in trouble for. She was also removed from overseeing an election. In between, and then after she's indicted on 10 counts, they let her run for Secretary of State. What, are you kidding me? So after she's indicted on 10 counts for her electioneering, they let her run for the single position in the state that controls elections. What kind of sense does that make? Hi, Kendrick. You running?
I don't know how
maybe he's taking Tina Peters' place.
Maybe. All right. I think we have finally. All right. Yes, we have. So this was that. So Nevada Republican Jim Marchant insisted there hadn't been a legitimate election in his state in more than a decade. All of Nevada's election winners since 2006, he said on a recent podcast, were installed by a deep state cabal.
You know, honest to fucking God, you can't make it up. And look at the fucking megaphone. Why would you think he would say anything different?
But, however, when Mr. Marchant won the Republican nomination for Nevada Secretary of State, he immediately celebrated his victory as legitimate.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. I got news for you folks. He's the deep state cabal.
All right.
These people are breathtaking assholes. They really are. Oh.
Deb dropped this on my lap, and this is Steve Bannon, who is the political joker. He is chaos incarnate. He just, it's amazing. He basically, he outed Trump. He outed Trump by saying, yes, Trump, he outlined, I think it was recording.
It was a video.
That it was it a video? Okay.
He was telling somebody, he's just going to say he won. He didn't win, but we're going to just declare him the winner.
Right. And we're going to say that it was fraud and blah, blah, blah. And then all hell's, and the more he lost by, the more he's going to scream.
Right. Which
is why he did what he did. So this just, we have done some stuff on Steve Bannon before. I would say, again, watch The Brink if you really want to know about what Steve Bannon is about. But this is another really good. This is a really good article.
Yeah. I mean, honest to God, it really doesn't matter if it's the truth or not. All you have to do is keep repeating it over and over and over again. The the Republicans require no proof of anything. In fact, right. they think facts are a waste of time.
Yep. It's not about facts. It's about ratings. That's Fox. It's about, what is entertaining to people. So this is basically that article from Mother Jones and the leaked audio from Mother Jones that before Election Day, Bannon said Trump planned to falsely claim victory. No matter whether he won or lost, he's going to say that he won.
Right.
And do not think that you're not going to have Republicans trying to say that they won.
Oh, God.
Yeah. which is why you need to vote Democrat.
And why does Steve Bannon always look like he needs a fucking shower?
I don't know.
Even when he comes out of the shower.
And I just thought that this was, the cherry on top. Trump's fake electors, the full list of Trump's fake electors. We need people serious about checking this. By the way, if you're claiming that somebody committed fraud, I don't want to see a freaking meme. I want to see something from somebody. I want to see data.
Yeah, I'm sorry, memes are cute, but they're not facts. All right, they're statements. And until someone shows me linked information that takes you to that statement, I'm not interested.
Right.
By the way, let's get back to having discussions again. If we post something, I'm sick of people commenting with a meme. What the fuck is that meme supposed to mean? Give me a break. You want to have a conversation? Let's have a conversation. But I'm not going to sit there and argue with a bunch of squares with pictures on them all day.
Right. And notice, remember that Secretary of State candidate?
Tina Peters?
No, the guy that I was just talking about. That was the article a few back.
Yeah.
He was from Arizona. 11 Arizonans were among the 84 people who signed onto bogus election documents in 2020.
Right.
Now, so I don't, but look at this. This is crazy. Cottle, first vice president of programs for the Arizona Federation of Republican Women. Lorraine Pellegrino served as president of the Awataki Republican Women, probably a Native American group. Issued a subpoena by the Department of Justice in June. Tyler Boyer, chief operation officer of Turning Point USA, Phoenix-based nonprofit organization, advocates for conservative values in schools.
Yeah, there's another one right below it.
Yeah.
Turning Point Actions, bad news.
So, Jim, wait a minute. Jake Hoffman, Arizona State Rep, already, 12th District. Anthony Kern, Arizona State Rep for the 20th District from January 2015 to January 2021. Do you see where we're going with this?
Yep.
Jim Lamon, running for election to the U.S. Senate to represent Arizona. Let's see here.
Kelly,
that name sounds familiar, actually. Joseph Brannon.
well, Kelly Ward is an osteopath. She's
Right.
a COVID denier, I believe.
Okay. Oh, right.
Probably where you saw her name before.
Right. But Joseph Brannon, treasurer of the Georgia Republican Party, a media executive, and leader in the Muskogee County Party. Okay. 16 people in Georgia. Burt Jones, member of the Georgia State Senate since 2013. I mean,
Jesus Christ.
Mark Amick, Board of Governors for the Georgia Republican Foundation, unsuccessfully ran for city council in Milton. 2020 served as poll watcher in Milton County and testified in a hearing after the election. He saw more than 9,000 votes wrongly go to Joe Biden during the first Georgia recount. Jesus. Daryl Moody, GOP donor, currently chairman of Georgia Republican Foundation. I mean, I could go on. All right.
So all these people either in public office or running basically signed on to election fraud.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, there's some business owners on here, and yeah.
like good candidates for public service.
Anissa Ford Tenon, former executive director of the state Republican Party of, what was this? New Mexico, I think. Yeah. Michael McDonald, not the Michael McDonald, former member of Las Vegas City Council. I was hearing taking it to the streets in my head. Pennsylvania. Lou Barletta. I know that name. Why do I know that? Oh, that's why. Okay. Ran for governor of Pennsylvania. Previously served as a member of the U.S. House, representing Pennsylvania's 11th congressional district from 2011 to 2019.
Look at Tom Farrell. He previously served as assistant district attorney for the county, but resigned after a black colleague reported that he put a stuffed monkey with his shirt reading loudmouth.
Oh my God.
These fucking people are twisted. Seriously. So here's one. That's a good candidate for this. He's a lobbyist. It's perfect for him to do election fraud. That works.
Sam Demarco, chairman of Allegheny County Republican Party. He was until recently an at-large member, required to step down from Congress, Pennsylvania's 17th district. FBI interviewed him at his home in June and served him with a subpoena about his role in the scheme. Jesus. Charlie Garreau ran for governor in Pennsylvania, lost in the primary. He is a GOP political strategist, the vice chair of the American Conservative Union, and CEO of Quantum Communications, a Harrisburg-based public relations firm. Last July, he cooperated with a police investigation after he was involved in a fatal crash on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, which he says he did not cause. So, I just, you know. So take a look at that list at your leisure, but
make some popcorn.
Yeah, these people are the people who are crying wolf are actually the wolves.
Right.
So I know there's issues with the Democratic Party at times, but oh my God, this is just off the chain. If you don't see what's happening right now, and if you don't see that your rights are being dismantled one by one by one, and that you have to take your power back some way,
Yeah, you do. You take that back at the voting booth. You don't take it back by, barging into the Capitol with weapons.
By the way, I'll say it again. You can canvass. You can do phone banks. You can help. You can become a pollster.
Right.
And what, you yourself, if you have any questions about it, sit at those polls. I've talked to some of those people who work the polls. They're like, come on, honestly, it's boring from what, it's a very tedious job.
Right.
You're sitting there for hours on end. And for somebody to claim that there were 9,000 people, come
on, stop it.
Right. Are there really that many people coming in that polling place anyway? I come on, it's ridiculous. So, for the next 2 weeks, you will have your have Deb gracing you with her presence. I will be gone. I will be visiting my mom, and I will be visiting friends in Pennsylvania. And I will see you guys in a little bit. So just remember what we're trying to, we're trying to get you guys involved one way or another. Get you involved. It's all fine and dandy and well for you to get on social media and bitch and complain about all this stuff that's going on. But, at some point you do need to network and get some things done. If you can get to your city council, or they might even still have some Zoom meetings like that, get involved in some way. I've been involved from the union end for a while, but to me, I just feel like I have to get involved a little bit more. So, and I know Deb's going to get out there.
Yep, I am.
But it's necessary. And by the way, before you think it's all glamour and rainbows, it's not. It can be, especially if you're canvassing and you're canvassing for hours. It's going to be hot. You bring your water, you dress comfortably, and you get some really good shoes. And don't be surprised if people slam doors in your face or get nasty or whatever. Although I would love to have on tape some of Deb's interactions with those people. So what I will say is that when I canvassed, there was a list of people who were registered Democrats who had voted the past 3 out of the 5 elections. And even then, I would say we probably had conversations with about 5% of the people on those lists. And that's the reality of it. A lot of times they're not home, or they don't want to really talk about it. They just want your literature or whatever. So just be aware of that too.
Let me just show you guys this. Can you see this? This is a great cartoon. Have you seen this cartoon? That's Steve Bannon at his court appearance today. Somebody put Pigpen in. God. Perfect. Like I said, he always looks like he needs a shower to me. But so we good? We're gonna kill him.
We're good. Oh, wait a minute. Let me stop sharing.
Okay, let's say goodbye to everyone. Bye. See you next week.
Goodbye to everyone.